Yeah, look, it's it's a step in the right direction. As I said last week, we saw some signs last week about getting back to what we wanted to really stand for as a club from a contest defensive point of view. And obviously, when it's in such a tight game, in the situation, we were 1-5, and I thought as a club during the week, we really looked at what we can do, not what we can't do, and that's the staff and that's the players, and we started to really put some things together. But the pleasing thing for me is we've started to re-establish ourselves as what we want to play as. And that's a contest defensive-based team that works incredibly hard. And clearly the first half wasn't pretty. There's still lots of turnovers and lots of things that weren't going right in our game. But as the game went on, it started to evolve a bit more and started to connect a bit better.
You're talking about that third quarter. One contested ball was 17. That's back to that hallmark of last year.
Yeah, look, it's one thing to win contested ball, and it's something that we're quite strong on, but our method around the ball was a lot better. We started to connect with the ball, but we also defended those areas a hell of a lot better. So, I thought that's our DNA, and we got back to that, but we also defended really strongly today. It's as best as we've defended for a long time.
You talked during the week about reset. You mentioned the 10-day break. That was a big message. What can do, what you can't do. How important is today for the footy club?
Oh, it's important because you get a little bit of nourishment in from a result perspective, but it certainly wasn't going to change the outlook of how we're going to go forward. It's I think when you get to the situation that we're in, and we're playing a really tough competition, it's easy. There's a lot of opinion out there about what you can't do, but we're really hell bent on what we can do as a club and as a personnel and playing group, and we laid that pretty clear about what we're going to do in that space, and I thought the guys had a terrific week. Now the challenge is to continue to do that. It's a little win in a much bigger picture.
The move to on Harms to go to Jaeger, does he do much study on Jaeger throughout the week? Is he prepared for that, or does he just go to that match-up and win it quite convincingly without any research?
Look, all our mids go and do some research on the opponents they're going to be coming up against, but we wanted to back ourselves in early. Clearly, Amir is a really, really good player and he's in good form. And first quarter, he sort of really got away from us late. And I thought his job was unbelievable, really. To shut a guy out of the game and to have the impact that he had. That was the James Harms we know, and sort of we've been looking for. And full credit to James. He's been working really hard on his game.
Just at the end, some real pivotal players in the game on the line. Sam Frost dances around a few people. For a team low on confidence, how impressive was that to not let the game slip?
Yeah, I think we sort of learned our lesson a little bit last year in really pivotal moments in games, around doing the basics well, and probably early in the last quarter I thought our basics dropped away, but late in the game they came back, and I thought we executed late in game scenarios very well. We did it a few weeks ago against Sydney up there as well. So it's a couple of ticks for us in that space, but we're playing a pretty mature Hawthorn team, pretty experienced players out there. So I thought we stood up well late in the game.
James Harms gives away a couple of 50-metre penalties that result in goals.
Yeah.
How do you mark his game, Coach?
Yeah, look, that's probably one of
the review.
Yeah, that's one of the basics we're talking about. They're 50-metre penalties, and that's 2 easy goals that we've given him. But his job and his performance was outstanding.
Were you surprised Tom didn't get a couple in the last quarter?
Tom McDonald?
Yeah.
Oh, look, I thought, Tom's game just started to get better and better. He was so close in the first quarter but couldn't quite catch him, and then as the game went on I thought he just evolved into starting to get back to some really strong footy. So could have he got a few free kicks in the last quarter, you mean?
Oh, a couple of 50-metre penalties potentially.
Oh, yeah.
Tom, you talk of McDonald, that mark he took was his first mark of the game in the third quarter. That struck me as being a real sort of moment in the match. Did you sort of notice that? Did something go through your mind when he did that? And then he kicks a goal a couple of seconds later.
Yeah, look, we saw it at training during the week that he's starting to mark the ball again, and I think he was working incredibly hard in the first half with not much reward, and then he got his reward. And you could even see the energy with the players. When they saw Tommy starting to come into the game, they lifted as well, and I think that's a sign of good teammates when they get around a guy that's really worked hard in his game to start to come into it.
It looked like Jeff Garlick tackle in the last quarter to move his confidence. He had that probably bad moment early in the game where he should have sent in the ball to Tom McDonald and went for goal instead. But to have a pivotal role in the go-ahead goal, what does that do for you?
Yeah, look, he wants to really, have his game built around pressure and tackle, and I think since he's come in, he's been able to do that for us. And he had his shoulder that popped out early in the JLT, so he's only been back a few weeks, but that was a pivotal moment in the game to have that pressure and lay that tackle. It was a bit of a momentum shifter for us. It was a really important stage of the game.
Looked like you really enjoyed it. There was a lot of energy with you and the players on the siren. Is that a sign of how much work has gone in?
Yeah, like it is. We play an emotional game. Our supporters have suffered over the last 6 weeks. Our players have been working incredibly hard to turn this ship around and start playing some good footy, as has our staff. And as I said, that's a little bit of nourishment, and with that comes a lot of joy. So now we've got to make sure we have a really positive week again and go again. But when you're 1-5 and you win a tight one, there's going to be a bit of emotion.
There's always paper over the cracks a little bit. You talk about how it was a bit of an ugly first half.
Yeah.
The ball use is obviously still a bit of a concern. What's the plan to try to tie that up, or is it something you just think will come good?
Yeah, well, I said against Richmond that the connection and the scoring would come, and it was like that in the first half again. And then in the third quarter, it came. So we've still got some work to do in that space, but our method around our contest was better, which enabled us to connect a little bit better, forward to the ball. And I thought our forwards did a great job at working their way back inside 50 today.
Some of the radio commentary wasn't overly kind for Jordan Lewis. Where's he at the moment? What areas do you need him to pick up in the next few weeks?
For Jordan, it's about just getting his season rolling. He's played 3 games back. He played 2 in 4 days. He played a third game. It was really important in other areas today around setting up our back line and setting up our defensive system, and it held up really strong for the day. And I wouldn't underestimate his impact and his leadership to help set that up. Without question, he would like to be playing a little bit better. But let's just give him some time and let him evolve into the season and see where it sits in a few weeks' time.
Most importantly, you want to give him that time. Just from what you're saying, you're certainly backing him. Is what
he's earned that time. He's a highly decorated player that's been very influential, not only at Hawthorn but at the Melbourne Footy Club. And he's played 3 games back in a season where he came off a hamstring. So let's give him that time and let's give him that respect and see where he's at in a little while longer.
How did everyone react to the scare from Christian earlier in the week? Is that obviously a bit of a scary incident from the outside? I imagine being there was even harder.
Oh, look, it's he bounced up down into the players' lounge as if nothing happened. Christian, he does a lot of hypoxic swimming. It's something that a lot of athletes do. It's something that's really well supervised by our high performance staff, and clearly he passed out. But it's we're glad to still have him and be around. But he needs to learn to take a breath when he's doing his hypoxic. Let's put it that way.
It's going to lead to was he all right?
Yeah, no,
he was fine.
Yeah.
Jack next week. What's the likelihood of getting Jack back?
That one will be assessed early in the week. He's a chance, but it's one of those ones where we don't need to take a risk with him. He's an important player to us, and he's got an AC joint. So whether it's next week or the week after, we'll wait and see.